Hello and welcome to this presentation I have today. I am Kingsley, and I'll be talking about perspective beats empathy to change our minds. Perspective beats empathy to change our minds. Have you ever imagined a scenario where you're offering a help to someone and it's not actually what the person really needs? Have you ever been in a situation where you actually feel like someone actually needs a particular kind of help, but down deep in their heart, they probably need a motivation? It most often happens in scenarios where you find someone suffering, or someone suffering probably in a particular field of study, or someone suffering in life in general. And we think that probably helping them with tips or giving them some money to maybe pay their rent or for the particular set of bill that they might be facing challenges with. Whereas what they need is the ability to be able to fend for themselves. That's where we talk about our perspective. Perspective beats empathy. Because when we are looking at them, we are looking at them in the way we see them, in what we think that they are feeling. But actually, that's not what they are feeling. For example, we have scenarios like people go to court because maybe they are charged with something. I'll take an example from one of her TED Talks I watched from Hansen. She gave a scenario. She's an advocate. She gave a scenario about a health professional who was taken to court because she performed an operation on a client or a patient, and she was feeling bad because her bosses promised firing her if she loses the case. And as an advocate, Hansen was moved by the client's worries and could not defend her in the right way possible because she felt moved by compassion, not actually getting or seeing the scenario in the right way possible. But because she was felt moved by compassion, she could not really represent that client. According to Hansen, uh, an educator at Harvard defines a perspective as being able to see perspective in two ways: cognitive perspective and emotional perspective. Meaning that in order to understand perspective, you have to see it in two ways. And the definitions are cognitive perspective, which he calls perspective, is that you see things or you see things the way it should be, in the way the client or the other person sees it. An emotional perspective is when you feel things the way the other person feels it. He actually did not think that emotional perspective is not important, but Hansen in her video says cognitive perspective is important when you're dealing in a corporate world, in an office, when you're treating a client, when a boss is treating a subordinate. That's when cognitive perspective is important because you don't use feelings there. When a doctor is treating a patient, cognitive perspective is very important because the doctor doesn't treat the patient based on how the patient feels. Or if the patient just keeps crying when you touch everywhere on the patient's body, but you treat the patient based on results, facts that have been proven, maybe through medical scans or research. So that's where perspective beats empathy. He did not really say that perspective or empathy is out of the equation, but he only says that in the corporate world, perspective beats empathy. And that's what we'll be looking at today. And I'm going to give an example where, which is kind of related to my first example that I gave, that there was this people, they're like homeless people that were living somewhere. And this community of ladies decided to sew some scarves for them. Scarves, mostly women wear them for them during, so they could use during winter time. But when these scarves were taken to these homeless people, the head of that homeless people's community said they really look good, but they are not going to be able to use them because they don't need them. That's not what they actually need at that time. They need something else. So long story short, they were able to sell those calves and actually got those homeless people something that they actually needed. And the lesson we can learn from this example is that the people who came there to offer that help or to offer the service or to give those gifts to those people felt like they needed, that's what they really needed from their own point of view, from what they were seeing physically. But what actually those people needed was something else. They needed socks because they saw those scarves as a means of to death, because to them, living on the streets or living outside with a scarf on your neck, somebody can easily strangle you. It's crazy, but that's how they saw it, and they could not accept those gifts, and those gifts had to be turned to something else. Without understanding, we see that perspective, it's much more important when you are dealing in a corporate world, when a customer is dealing with a client, when a doctor is dealing with a patient, when we are dealing with our bosses, when we are dealing with our teachers, for some of us to go into school, when we're dealing with a superior or a subordinate, perspective beats empathy because we don't see the things or the scenario, we don't handle a situation with feelings, but we look at the facts, we look at the results to see that this thing actually should be done in this way. I hope we all have gotten something from this presentation of today. I will want to ask if anyone has any comments and want to know better. You can ask a question. If no one has a question, then I thank you all for your time and please do have a blessed day. Thank you.